Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome along to the webinar today. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to let a few more people join before we get started. So if we could just do the quick usual sound and screen check, that would be perfect. So if someone in the chat could let me know that they can see me and hear me all right, and then we know everything's working as it should be before we jump into the actual demonstration. Thanks, John Paul. All right, looks like we are live and everything is running as it should be. We'll just give people a few more minutes to join in before we start. And I'll just start by asking, where is everyone tuning in from? So I'm based in the UK, I'm in London or just outside of London. I'd love to hear where you guys are watching from today. Belgium, wow, near Liège. I've never actually been to Liège. I have been to Belgium when I was in school. So quite a while ago now, I was on a history field trip to the Menin Gate, but I've not been to Liège. A couple of people also from the UK, someone in London there, and Dave is from Devon. And then we've got a lot of US, which is to be expected. Cool. Okay, so before we get started then, I just want to ask people how much they've used Convertri. And I like to do this by getting them to rate it. So on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being that you haven't used it at all, and 5 being that you're essentially an expert with Convertri, where do you all feel you are at the moment? If you just drop that in the chat, don't be shy. Please feel free to be honest. You know, this is perfectly fine if you're a complete beginner. That is what this webinar is for. So yeah, feel free to let me know. And I'm just interested to see how you guys are finding Convertri. Cool. So we've got a couple of 2s. So Alice in there as well, and Melissa with a 1. John Paul with a 1. Started yesterday working on the first landing page. Couple of 3s. And Dave says 2. So yeah, we're about at the level I'd expect for a webinar of this nature, which is great because it means we're in the right place and we can start talking about Convertri at a starting point and hopefully get you on your way to setting up your first page. And that is what I'm going to be trying to help you with today. So to get started then, I'm just going to have a look at what we will cover. So you can see here I've got my bullet points. So starting off, I'm going to give you guys a brief tour of the app. Convertri is quite a large app. There's a lot of things you can do in there. So I want to make sure everyone knows where to go to get to different areas. Then we'll go through setting up your first page. We'll start by showing you how to set up an opt-in page and then a thank you page. And then from there, we'll show you how to connect the 2 together so that you can actually start collecting signups on those pages and deliver a lead magnet or a free ebook, that kind of thing. Along the way and afterwards, I'll dedicate a bit of time to showing off some cool editor tips and tricks that will help you, as well as how to connect your account to third-party services. I'll talk a little bit about setting up a custom domain at the end and actions and events to create a pop-up on Convertri. And we'll also have a Q&A session at the end where you can get your questions answered. So if you have any questions that maybe you prepared before the webinar or you have, well, I've been presenting, then we can go through those at the end. Of course, if anyone wants me to repeat anything that I've just shown, please do drop a message in the chat and I'll happily go over it again. If we can try and keep the questions fairly relevant to what I'm showing, that would be ideal. But don't worry, if you have something that pops into your head, feel free to add it into the chat and I'll always come back to it at the end. Okay, so we're going to get started now then and switch over into Convertri. So this is the main dashboard here. When you log into Convertri, this is the screen you'll be taken to. It's the campaign screen, and this is where you can create your funnels and within your funnels. So on Convertri, all these collections of pages, funnels. Now, in the sense of the word in marketing terms, a funnel would normally be something where you're taking a set of prospects from the top of a funnel and you're funneling them down like this in a V shape So at each stage, you're losing people, which is why it's called a funnel. So you might start with an opt-in page, and then you'll send them to a sales page, and then maybe a actual purchase webinar page, that kind of thing. They're going to get the conversion rate for each means that you're not going to have the same amount of people at the opt-in as at the last page. So we call it a funnel for that reason. But in terms of Convertri, you can just view these funnels as page folders. So if you create a funnel, that's where you're going to house the pages for that funnel. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a funnel in the marketing sense of the word. It could be a website, and that funnel just represents the collection of pages. So that's funnels covered on the campaign screen. We've got the cart screen here. This is where you'd go to create your product. And you can create products in Convertri. Mainly, we recommend products being used for digital products. So like I mentioned at the start, ebooks or lead magnets, that kind of thing. But we do have some physical product settings as well. We then have a training area up here, which is where you can find some really useful resources and material to help you get started with Convertri and try and achieve specific outcomes. For example, an affiliate marketing one will help you get your first affiliate review page up and running. We have the affiliate section, which of course is where you have your own personal affiliate link. So every Convertri account has this. They are unique to that account. And if someone is to sign up through your link, then you will actually get a commission on that as well. And lastly, we have the account page, which is where you can see your profile settings. We also have a number of options here, which are quite important. So for example, domains, this is where you come to add a custom domain. Integrations as well, this is where you integrate with other third-party services. So quite important screens in the account area. Okay, so that's a fairly quick whistle-stop tour of the Convertri dashboard and various other screens. Does anyone have any questions about that before we move on to the actual page creation itself? Okay, no worries. So it looks like we're good to move on. So we're going to start then by creating a new funnel, and you can do that by selecting this blue button here, create new. You'll be given a choice of funnel design. So if we have a look at one of them, this is essentially a pre-built funnel where the pages will already be added for you. So if you're looking to do some lead gen, you could select the lead gen one. If we preview it, this will show us the pages that we'll get with this funnel. So we'll get an opt-in page, a thank you page, and a sales page. Now, I'm not going to use that for the example because I want to show you it from scratch, but that is a feature that we offer, those pre-built funnels. So if you're looking to save time, I'd definitely be worth checking those out. So we'll create a funnel from scratch and we'll give it a name. So I'll call this Getting Started Webinar. And then we select our domain. And here you can select from any of the domains you have added on your account. Click Create, and that will create the funnel for us. And then we can choose New Page to start building out our funnel and our pages. Yeah, I am recording this. So someone in the chat's asking if there'll be a replay available. So this is being recorded. So if you have to drop out at any time, no worries at all. We'll get the replay sorted and we'll have it ready for the beginning of next week. So I'll drop you all an email with the link to that. Okay, so here is the create new page screen. Again, you can see we've got a variety of templates here. We've actually got a little drop down selector where you can see different ones. So we have the template theme sets. So if I was to select only themes, you can see here we have these themes. So we've got an adventure funnel, we've got agency, blue wave. So these are all the same house style, the same design, and then we have various different page types within those designs. So we've got application, checkout, content pages, opt-in pages, and these are all templates that you can use and then edit slightly if you want to save a bit of time and get your pages live quickly. So again, for the purposes of the demonstration, I will be creating a page from scratch. So I'll click that button and then I'm going to call it my opt-in page. So now I've got my page And to go into the editor, I just need to select edit on the page card. And that is going to take me into Convertri's editor. And from here, we can get creative, we can build our page and make the most of Convertri's completely free form editor. So unlike a lot of other landing page builders, Convertri has a completely free form editor. So you aren't restricted by rows or columns. You can place any element wherever you like, and it will appear there on the screen when you publish the page. So to start off, I'm going to add a background image to my page. And this page is going to be an opt-in page for the vegan niche. So if we bear that in mind, then we can make sure we're picking the right images and using the right copy for our page. So I'm going to go to the image from the elements tray, and then I'm on Pixabay. So this is a software that we are integrated directly with, and you can use it to search for royalty-free images. So if I was to search for Apple, this will then pull in results from Pixabay, and I can use these images free of charge. It's completely included in your subscription, and you don't have to pay anything extra. And these are all copyright free, so you don't need to worry about licensing or anything like that. So I'm going to use the vegan as my search word, and that should give us some nice images that we can use as a background image. So I'm going to go with this salad vegan plate here. If I select that, that will now upload and add that to my Convertri page. And once that's done, I can set it as my background image. And to do that, I can select the element and then use this double-headed arrow here, which is the full width tool. So that will make the image full width. So if I select that, that will snap the image to the side of the page. And then from there, I can spread it out like so with the drag handles. And this will allow me to resize it so that it's full length and will cover the whole page. So this is now our background for our canvas. You can see when you have an element selected, we've got this panel on the right-hand side for element properties. So it's automatically opened the image properties. If I use the back arrow, we see a number of other different properties here. So general properties, I can give my element a name. I can even add a link to it in there. So if anyone clicks on it, it will take them to that link. And I can set other things like the border as well. Now that won't work for this image here because we have it set to be the complete width of the page. So if I want to close that, I can just click the cross and then reopen it by this little button here for element properties. So I've got my image now. I'm just going to add a panel to the top and bottom of the page. I like to do this just to kind of bookend my pages, almost as like a bit of a header and a footer. So I'll add a panel and resize it to the height I want. And then I'm going to use that full width tool again. And from here, I'll open element properties and I can use the background option to choose my desired color. So each element will have a color picker like this. If it's for like a panel or text, you can choose the exact color you like, and this will actually update live on the page as well. So I like this feature because with the live color picker, you can compare colors as you're like going along. So I can drag over to the right there for a few darker options. And that way you don't have to select a color, see it load up on the page, and then have to go and try something else. You've got it all happening as you're doing it. So I'm going to go with kind of like a lime mint green because I think it's very on brand for the vegan niche. And once I've chosen that, I just hit select. Again, I can close the element properties if I like. And then I'm going to clone this panel. So to do that, I'm going to select the element. So you can see here it's selected. And then I'm going to click clone like so. And then I'm going to drag this one down and this will become our footer. So we've got our kind of header and our footer now. That bookends the page nicely, I think. And from here, we're going to start creating our opt-in form. So the opt-in form will be the piece of content on the page where a prospect enters their information. And then once they've submitted that, they're taken to the thank you page. They're added to our autoresponder in the background, and they're then able to receive our lead magnet, which we have provided to them on the thank you page. So that is our very simple opt-in funnel that we're going to be building out. So I have two options to build my opt-in form. I can use our pre-built form widget, which if I go to form elements and then click form widget, you'll see we get this modal, and this is essentially our form builder. So the two pieces of information we want to collect are first name and email. So luckily we have those already. If I select the first name, you can see here, I've got my field type. I can set that, and this will match up to the field type that the autoresponder is expecting. And the same with email. This will be already set to email. Now, if I wanted to add another one, I could add one more, and I could select a field type and maybe do last name. And then I could reorder that. So we would have first name, last name, email. If I wanted to have some validation, you can see we've got options here. So for email address, we want it to be a valid email address. We can add some placeholder text for the prospect to be prompted to add their information. And we also have the required toggle, which makes the field required. So if you turn this off, someone could actually submit the form without entering their email. So you definitely want to make sure the email one is turned on. If I then hit, or I need to check the button settings first. So the button settings here, we'll make sure we have it set to sign up. We want the button to be included on the form. And of course, we have our label as well. So you can change this to something like download now if you are prompting them to download a lead magnet. And then we hit save. And you'll see we get this pre-built form built for us using the form widget element. So that is a really great way to save time. If you want to use this, I would definitely recommend it. I'm going to show you how to build it out from scratch as well if you do want to do that, but it's worth bearing in mind that form widget tool is there for your use. So I'll delete that element, and now I'm going to add a panel which will become my background panel for the opt-in form. So I'm essentially now going to be building out my own version of the form widget. So I'll resize it to the size I want. And from here, I'm just going to make sure I like the positioning. So I think a little bit to the right is quite a nice position for an opt-in form. And now I'll be adding some text to my page. So add the text element here. I'm going to use the heading 1 style. So each Convertri page has default styles. You can edit those from the page menu here. And you can see you have different types. So one for paragraph text, one for heading 1, one for heading 2, and one for hyperlink. And each of these has different settings. So this is the default for the page, but you can edit those as you see fit. So I'm going to use the heading 1 style here, and I'm going to add my text. So I'll close the More menu, and I'll add my text into this heading text element. Download your free vegan cookbook. So this is the lead magnet that we are going to be giving away to our prospects. And this is hopefully going to be an incentive for them to sign up on our opt-in form. So that's our heading there, just to make sure they know what it is they're signing up for. We then need a bit of copy just to explain that further. So I'll add another text element here. And this time I'm going to paste in my text because I do have it pre-prepared, because it doesn't really make good webinar content to watch someone thinking of some text and then typing it out. So I'll add that in there. And now we, of course, need our form elements. So we need a first name input. So I can drag that over here like so. We need an email input so they can enter their email. And lastly, we need a button. And again, we want that so they can actually submit the form on our page. Once we've done that, I'm going to add one more bit of text. I'll do this by cloning this text element, moving it down here. And for now, I'll delete that and just add a little note. So we will never spam. So I like to add this on my opt-in pages because I think it's quite courteous. It just reassures the prospect that you have no malicious intentions with their data, which is very reassuring for them in this, day and age. So I like to do that just to make sure they feel at ease. I'm going to make sure the panel is big enough that this text element is within it. So that means it's contained, and I'll show you what that means in a second. And I'll do the same here with this one. So I'm just aligning this now with the shift drag feature. And now I've got my opt-in form built out. You can see here that it is all contained within this panel. And that means I can move this panel and everything will move within it as well. So if I want to move it over here, I can do that, and all these elements will come with it. And then if I wanted to move it back, I can click undo. And as you can see, with the freeform editor, I can place this wherever I like on the page. I'm not restricted, which is why I like to make use of that and have it a little bit offset from the center. So I'm going to edit my button slightly because I want it to match the aesthetic of the page. I'll open element properties, make sure it's set to the sign up mode. We'll talk about button modes when we're on the thank you page. And then I'm going to go to button appearance and change the label to download now. And I'll also change the font to bold and the background color to a green color. And we can actually make use of the green we chose earlier if we want to. It doesn't look great for a CTA button though, so I'm going to pick a different one that stands out a bit more, like so. Okay, so we have our opt-in form set up and built, and this is essentially our opt-in page finished for now. We do have a couple of little extra details to add, one of those being a privacy policy link. So again, I'm going to clone this text element. I'm going to place this at the bottom of the page, center align it, and then just replace this text with privacy policy. From there, I'm going to align it to the middle, and I can actually do that by using this button up here. So if I use this button and click that, it will align it to the page center. And now I'm going to add my hyperlink here. So it is usually a legal requirement to have some kind of privacy policy, so I would recommend it. And what you can do is you can hyperlink this out to your privacy policy page. So I'm highlighting the text here, click hyperlink, and then add my link. So I'm just going to add Convertri's privacy policy for the sake of this example. One thing that's really important to remember here is you want to set this to open on a new tab, because otherwise your prospect is going to be redirected away from your page and potentially then they won't return. So you're going to lose that sign up. So you want to open it in a new tab, and that will ensure that the tab with your opt-in page remains open. So last thing we need to check before we go and make our thank you page is the mobile version. So many of you may have noticed that we have two editors in Convertri. We have a desktop editor and a mobile editor. So I can swap into mobile at any time, and this will show your version of the mobile page. Now, this is created completely automatically by Convertri's mobile algorithm, and it does so by adding elements to the page in the order that they're placed on the desktop page. So you can see we have this top bar, the image, then we have the panel, and that is how the order goes on the mobile version as well. So this is really useful because it means you don't have to recreate the mobile version yourself, and also allows you still to make edits if you want to. So for example, this is my initial mobile version, but I can use shift and drag to move this further down like so. And then I can extend the space we have here. I can even move that up to the top, and I can reposition it like so. Now, you can't change things like the text on mobile. You would have to do that on the desktop version. So if I was to remove the word free and then go back to mobile, you'd see that would update there as well. However, I don't want to do that, so I'll undo, and that will bring it back. Now, if you want to move anything around, like I said, you can. So if we were to move this down a little bit, we could do that, no problem. And if we're not happy with that change, or maybe we've made multiple changes and we want to undo them, we can use the remobilize button to rerun the automatic mobile conversion. So what this will do is it will return it to the original mobile generated version of the page. So you can see all those changes I made there will need to be made again if I would want to do that. So I will just move this down a little bit like so, and I'll move this up. So we have our version now of the opt-in page ready. So I'm going to go back to desktop, click save, and we will be returning to the opt-in page before we publish because I need to set up the form, which allows us to actually capture the lead. But we're going to go now and set up our thank you page so that we can use that thank you page as the redirect URL. So I'll exit out of the editor now. And I think it's a good time to actually take any questions that anyone might have. So Anna's asked there, can you change the wording on the button, which I think I covered in that. So hopefully that was clear. Does anyone else have any other questions about that before we move on to the thank you page and setting up the opt-in form? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions at the moment, which is completely fine. So feel free to ask them if you do have any. And like I said, I'll cover them as we go. But we'll move on to the thank you page now. Okay, so we're back in our funnel here. What I want to do now is create a thank you page, but I want to actually use the same house style that I just created in my opt-in page because I want it to be consistent, right? I don't want a prospect to be redirected to my thank you page and it looks completely different and they think something's gone wrong along the way. So you want to reassure them by keeping things consistent. So I'm going to use the three-dot menu here and then the more button. And now I'm going to clone that page that I made. So I'll click clone and then type in the page name. So my thank you page. And from here, we can make small adjustments to the page to make it suited to a thank you page without having to redesign it completely. So another good use of the cloning feature there, not only with elements in the editor, but with pages as well. So essentially what we want the prospect to do on this page is actually download the free lead magnet that we're offering them. So a few things we're going to do here is edit the opt-in form. We're going to remove the form elements and we're going to change the button so that it's set to be a download button. And with that, we can actually attach a file to it so that when someone clicks on it, they are able to download the file that we've added. So I'll do this first by removing these two pieces of form inputs and the piece of text below. I'm then going to change this text slightly to download your free vegan cookbook in just one click. And then I'll reposition the download button so that it is a little bit higher up. And we can even make it bigger if we want to. And we'll increase the size of the text as well. So obviously we want to make sure this stands out. So if we go to button appearance, we can change the font size and we could possibly double it and that would fit in nicely. And this would now become the focal point of the page. So we could adjust that as we wish. And now the most important thing here for the thank you page is that we set it up as a download button. So if we go into button settings and then select the drop down, you can see we have a number of options here. I'll cover them all individually now. So open checkout would be used if you were selling a product on Convertri. That would open our modal checkout. And purchase would be if you were allowing prospects to make a purchase on the page itself. If you want to add a link to the page, you can do this with the link mode. If a button is set to the link mode, you'll have this URL option here, and you can link this out to any URL you like. We then have trigger, which allows us to set up an action, which I'll show you after this main demonstration. And then lastly, we have the add to cart, which is allowing you to allowing a prospect to add a product on your page to the cart so they can have a more store-like experience if you are selling products with Convertri. We're going to use the download button though for now. So I'm going to select the download mode, and here you can attach a file to your page. So if we click select file, you can see it will have any of these that I have already added. So I've already got my vegan one here. I can upload a new file though, if I want to, and it's worth bearing in mind that the file size maximum is 40 megabytes. So if you're wanting to add directly with like a PDF, it will need to be under 40 megabytes. However, you could do it a different way. So I'll select this now and that will be added, you can see here. But if we were to change this to a link mode and it had that URL slot, you could actually self-host your file on somewhere like Amazon S3 or any other hosting service and just add the link to the button. And that would then take them to the download screen. So we've added this now, and this means that our page is good to go. The thank you page is done. So I'm going to check the mobile version because I want to make sure it looks good. As you can see, we made some changes and this large gap has appeared. So we don't want that to be the case. So we'll rerun the conversion and that will make the space compact. So we don't have a lot of like space in the panel, but I don't want it to be this small because I imagine on a mobile device, it's going to only cover half the screen. So I'm going to push this down slightly and then we're going to make the image longer as well. And then we can even center this in the middle. If we select the panel, not the text element, we can center this into the middle like so. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll save this now. And what I'm actually going to do now is publish the page as well. So if I click publish, you'll see it comes here with my domain that I selected at the start, and I can now add a path. So I can add thank you, and I'll put getting started so I know what it's for. And I'll want to make sure this page URL is remembered by me and by Convertri when I go to my opt-in page. And I'll show you how to do that now. So if we publish it, you'll see the page will publish. You can see it's spinning here and it's gone to the tick. And we now have this green publish mark, and we'll view the page quickly. So you can see the incredibly fast loading speed there of Convertri pages. And this is now a page on the internet that is live. So if anyone went to this page, if they had the URL, this is what they'd see, and they'd be able to download our vegan cookbook. So I'll go back now out of the page editor. And I mentioned there that I want Convertri to remember this URL, or to at least know that it's going to be our thank you page redirect. And the way to do that is use this little arrow tool here. So click and drag it and connect it to that page. You can see now the pages are connected. Now, this doesn't mean that every time someone clicks the button here, they go automatically to this page. I still have to set that up in Convertri. But what it does is it tells Convertri that this is the destination that I want prospects to end up at. So we'll see in a moment when we go back to the opt-in page that it will be suggesting this URL as a thank you page redirect. Before we do that though, we need to make sure we have our autoresponder integrated into our Convertri account. So I'm going to go to my account screen and then to integrations. And from here, you can see, as I mentioned at the start, all the third-party services you can integrate Convertri with. So we have a general section here, but the one we're interested in is autoresponders. So we have a load of different autoresponders. It is completely up to you what one you use. A lot of them have free accounts, so I'd recommend Aweber has like a free account where you can have one list. So if you're looking to do some lead collection, but you don't currently have a list, or maybe you don't have multiple lists, then the Aweber trial is well worth checking out. And to set this up, you just need to click on the Aweber option. Actually, I'll choose one which hasn't been set up. So let's take drip, and then you'll have a connect your account button. And what that will happen, what that will do is it will take you to the login screen for that service. Some of them actually require an API code or a site address, as you can see here. But a lot of them, you just need to log into your account and it will connect. Once you have connected, you'll get the little green tick mark here, and that service will now be available for you to connect any opt-in forms to in the editor. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So we'll go back now to our campaign screen and back into our getting started webinar funnel. And from here, we will open up the opt-in page once again. Okay, so we are good to go now to set up our form. To do that, we just go to the forms menu up here on the top toolbar. And I'm going to be using an autoresponder with an API. So I click that option, select Aweber, and here I choose my target. So this will be any list you have set up in the autoresponder of your choice. It will appear. So you can see my list is here, and I can select that. And you can see already my field types are mapped to that service. So these are the field types that Aweber would expect you to be collecting on an opt-in. And you can see I have both name and email. So if I enter information or a prospect enters information, these two things will be passed on to my autoresponder so that I have then captured that lead. From there, I click next, and then it will take me to the thank you page URL tab. And this is where our arrow setup has come in handy, because it has helped us not need to remember the URL ourselves. Convertri has done that for us. And if we go to suggestions, you can see there that it is already suggested. So I need to just now click done. And this now is ready to go. So if I publish this page now at opt-in page getting started, I'll be able to show you the complete opt-in funnel that we've just built out from scratch in little under 20 minutes, 25 minutes, if that. We can view the page. And now if someone was to come onto this page and add their name and their email address and click download now, they would be taken to the thank you page. The information in the background is being added to Aweber, so you've collected that lead, and they can now download this lead magnet. So if I click on this from the setup that we did, you can see here we have our lead magnet that the prospect has now been given for free. So that's a really good incentive for them to sign up. We've been able to deliver that all within 2 pages and all in under half an hour. So that is essentially the demonstration on building pages that I wanted to share with you today. It's a nice simple page, and as I mentioned, it's something that you can get set up very quickly if you're looking to collect leads. Does anyone have any questions on that before we have a look at a few other bits that I want to share with you today? And also, was it clear enough as a demonstration? You know, did I go over anything too fast? Is there any part of that you'd like me to show you again? Please feel free to let me know in the chat. I'm not precious. If there's anything that I went over too quickly, please do let me know, and I'm happy to show it again. Cool. So very clear, says Anna. Dave says all good. Looks like a lot of people are happy with that. John Paul's got a question, and it is a good question. So, do you always need an extra autoresponder like Aweber? So, in most cases, I think it's a good idea because the autoresponders have good capabilities for email marketing. So, if you wanted to set up an automation in Aweber where when anyone signed up to your list, they were sent an email, you would be able to do that very easily with Aweber. However, you don't have to have one. If you want to use Convertri's form notifications tool, you can. So to do that setup, you would go to Forms, and instead of using the autoresponder here, you would just select Email, and then you would select an email from the drop down. So if you turn that on, you select an email, and this would be like any of the emails that you have set up on your Convertri account. And what would happen then is when someone submitted a form on one of your pages, if you're using that feature, you would get an email from Convertri with the details of that form submission. Now, with this setup, it's not as good because you have to do the replies manually. You don't have any automatic settings. And also you would have to take their email and create a new email to then reply to them. If you were to reply directly to our form notification email that we sent you, it would reply to Convertri support. So it's really useful if you're looking to collect information and you're happy to then do a little bit of manual work afterwards. I think having an autoresponder, though, like I said, on a free trial is always a great option. And I would definitely recommend that if you're doing lead generation. No worries, John Paul. I'm glad that was clear. Okay, I can't see any other questions on anything I covered there. So I'm going to move on now to showing you how to do something a little bit different with your opt-in page. And that is to set up a pop-up or a two-step opt-in. So to do this, you will need a button on your page, and you will also need to use a layer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about layers in a moment, but first I want to set up the pop-up trigger button. So I'm going to remove this, copy, remove this first name and email, and remove this. And I'll place this in the center of the page like so. And I'm going to use this button here to try and grab some attention. So if we want to have it so that our pop-up appears on button click, what we need to do first is we need to create a layer, and this will contain our opt-in form. So you can create layers in Convertri. We have pre-built layers and we have opt-in ones. So that's what I'm going to use here. You can see this is for a two-step opt-in. If I select this and add it, you can see I give the layer a name, and this now appears on screen, and you can see this layers tab here. If I click deselect, it will disappear, and selecting it means I'm now editing this layer. So we've already got our button. All we need to do is set it up to be a trigger. So if we go back to our button settings and change this to trigger, we can then add an action, add new action, and event type. We can then choose click. On click, this means when someone clicks the button, the action we want to happen is for a target to be shown, in this case, our layer. So we'll click fade in target. We then go to our target, search for the target, and you can see our layer is there because we already gave it a name. So if I click done, and then we'll need to go to our layer and we'll need to check that the prospect has a way to close this if they don't want to submit it. So to do that, we would select the close button, and you can see we already have this set up on the pre-built layer template. And essentially, it's the exact same step that we just did for the button, but in reverse. So on this specific element being clicked, the layer will fade out. So very simple. As you can see, I set that up in about a minute. And if we now preview this, save and preview it, so you can use the preview feature to have a look at the page before you publish it. If we then click the button, it will actually bring this up here as a two-step opt-in form. So you don't have to have the opt-in form on the page itself. You can create cool effects with our actions and events feature that will give you that kind of two-step capability. Okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to show you with the Convertri editor. Before we leave the editor, does anyone have any other questions about the Convertri editor? Anything at all, from elements to settings to the mobile editor? Anything that you'd like to know a bit more about, please feel free to drop that into the chat, and I'm more than happy to answer anything. As I say, please feel free, if there's anything I haven't shown well enough for you or you don't understand, I'm happy to go over it again, no problem at all. Okay, it looks like we're good on that front. As always, if anything comes to mind, please do let me know and I'll happily cover it. But I'm going to exit out of the funnel now, and I want to show you the custom domain setup because it is a really important feature. You may have noticed on my page that I published, I was using a .convertri.com subdomain. So everyone, when they create an account, will be asked to set up a .convertri.com subdomain. This is just so you can start hosting pages straight away. But we do recommend adding your own custom domain into Convertri. And we actually have website hosting completely included in all our subscription packages. So you don't need to have a domain hosting service. All you need is to have a domain that you've purchased on a registrar, and you can then host that on Convertri with our hosting capabilities. So to do that, you would just go to domains and you would then click set up a new custom domain. You can see we have this walkthrough video here, so I'd recommend checking that out after the webinar if you are curious, because I won't be able to show you the full process here on the webinar because it can take up to 24 to 48 hours for all the changes to propagate over. But essentially, you would add your domain, in here that you've purchased. You'll then be given the name server details to set up in your registrar. So what this means, if we go to one of my domains, let's see, if we go to exploring histories and then records, you can see we have Convertri name servers here, and these would then need to be added to my domain registrar. And from that, that would tell the domain registrar that I want to host this domain on Convertri. It's a very simple setup. It may sound confusing, there's records, there's type values, name servers. It does seem a little bit confusing, but honestly, anyone can set up a Convertri domain or domain on Convertri rather, with no technical skill whatsoever. A cool story actually, when I was applying for a job at Convertri, which is now 4 or 5 years ago, Andy, the CEO at the time, asked me to set up a domain on Convertri as part of a task to get used to the app. So I was able to do it. I'd never used Convertri before. I followed the help video and I was able to do it without any issues. So that should give you some reassurance. If I can do it without any experience, you most definitely can. So that is everything covered that I had on my list today. I'd like to open it up now to a general Q&A session, as I said. And more importantly, I want to just hear from you guys. What is it you've done with Convertri so far? What goals do you have for Convertri? Are you looking to generate leads? Are you looking to do affiliate marketing, build websites for clients? Anything like that, I'd love to know about, so we can try and tailor the experience for you, and that makes it a better experience overall. And lastly, of course, what do you think is missing from Convertri? Now, we're not afraid to say that we don't believe Convertri is a perfect app. I mean, it's software. It can never be perfect. We're always improving it. That's why we release monthly updates every single month with new features, bug fixes, and support documentation as well. So if you think there's something missing, please let me know. It's a great opportunity to now talk one-to-one with someone who works on the team, and we can get the feedback to you. So I'll open it up now to questions. And And if not, it looks like we are good to wrap up. So Katie's asking, how does Convertri differ from WordPress for website building? So I'm not too familiar with WordPress myself, in all honesty. I know WordPress, though, is better for blog functionality. And in general, Convertri is just a lot better than WordPress because it's got much faster loading time. So you see there with my opt-in pages, they load in way less than a second. WordPress can be, from my experience anyway, quite clunky. Like I said, though, I'm not well versed in it. I haven't used it in a while. But for website building, I can show you a great example of how a website can work well on Convertri, and that is with our actual website. So if you go to convertri.com, you'll see this is a fully functioning website. You've got like buttons to different pages, so I can navigate around. I can go to the templates page here. I have drop-down menus. There's videos available. I can even submit a form. All of this, everything you're seeing here was built in Convertri on our own Convertri account that we have. So that just shows you the capability that it has for website building, as well as simple landing pages that we just showed you. And we've got another question about affiliate marketing. So does Convertri have programs for affiliate marketing, or is it purely a platform? So we don't have any programs ourselves, in the sense that we don't run any like affiliate challenges or programs where we give you specific steps to do and complete, but we do have some training on affiliate marketing, which I think would be interesting for you if you're new to that area. And I mentioned it at the start, we have a training area here. So if you go to training and affiliate marketing, we have this complete course. It's 9 modules long, including a directory of products that you can actually easily promote yourself. So all the way from introducing affiliate marketing, choosing your niche, setting up the back end and the pages, to getting traffic with Facebook ads. That's all covered by this course. It's completely written and designed by us in-house. We have a number of years experience combined. So I think that'd be really useful if you are interested in affiliate marketing. Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, so Dave said, where do I go if I have feature suggestions? I don't have any right now, but I think I'm keen to contribute to the progression of Convertri. So, I mean, that's great to hear. We are welcome to any suggestions you might have. So what I would suggest to you, Dave, is either reaching out to support. Our support is support@convertri.com. And I will drop that in the chat right now. So that is our support email. We also have a Facebook group, which is the Convertri Clubhouse. So I'll add that in the chat as well. So if you search that on Facebook, you'll find it. There's over, I think over 4,000 or 8,000 members. We have a lot of members in there now, actively asking questions, helping each other out as well. So if you have feature requests, you can put them in there and a member of our team will pick it up and add it to our ideas board. We then look at those internally, review them, and hopefully add them into the app when we have the dev cycles for that. And then you can also help each other out in the Clubhouse. It's a great way to engage with other members of the Convertri community. People are often posting their ideas, their questions, and while we have members of staff in there as well, as I mentioned, a lot of users just like to help each other out. So it's a really great place to go for that. Okay, and we have a question now from Jane. Do you have video functionality? We do. So you may see it over here on the left. We have a videos option. And we also have a number of embeddable videos onto pages. So I'll show you the different options we have. So if we go to videos on the left, you can actually upload any video you like into Convertri. You'll see those here. So these are ones I've uploaded. Once you've uploaded a video into Convertri, this will mean that it can be hosted by us. So if you go back to a page, you can then add that video to the page. And from there, you can have prospects view it when they come to your page. So let's move this down slightly, or actually further up would be better. Let's say we wanted to add a video promoting the vegan cookbook. We could add that from the elements tray by clicking media and then video. This is going to be the Convertri video player. And from here in element properties, you can choose from your video library what video you would like to add. So if I was to select one of these, so let's say this opt-in course, and I have a number of options here, so I can autoplay it if I want to do that. I can make it sticky, all these different controls. And if we then preview it, when this page loads, we'll see that this automatically plays. So I'll mute that in case it speaks over me. But this video is now playing on the page. We've uploaded it in our account in that video area, and we can now add it to the page. And it's a fully functioning video. You can see here we've got the playback controls. We can skip ahead. We can make it full screen if we want to. And we can pause and play as we like. So that's one way to add a video. We also, you may have noticed there, have other options. So Vimeo, Wistia, and YouTube. These are all basically players that we can embed a video in from any of these services. So if I add the YouTube one as the example, I can resize it. And then all I need to do is add the URL of the video that I want to play. And that will essentially add that video to my page. So the benefits of using Convertri's video player is essentially that we have a lot more control over it. So if we're using the YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia ones, we don't have control over how the player looks. So we get this standard YouTube player, but if we use the Convertri one, we actually have the option to change the look and style of it. And by that I mean, if we go to player appearance, I can change the skin. So you can see here, I've got all these different skins. So if I choose solid, that's going to change the way it looks. I can also set a thumbnail if I want to. So I could set my image as the thumbnail, and that would appear like so. And that would be my video. So in answer to your question, Jane, we do have video functionality both built into Convertri and via third-party services. You're very welcome. Okay, any last questions before we wrap up then? We've got about 3 minutes left. So if anyone has any last questions, please do get them in now. If not, like I said, I have been recording this session, so I will be able to get a replay out to you if you want to watch it back. I'll make sure everyone that signed up for the webinar gets that. And as I say, that should be by the beginning of next week. If anyone has any questions in the meantime or afterwards, please email support@convertri.com. We're more than happy to answer. Our first response time is, I believe, 35 minutes. So very quick, you'll get a response definitely within the hour on your query, and then we'll hopefully be able to help you from there. How often does Convertri offer webinars? So I aim to host a webinar once every month. So if you're subscribed to our mailing list, which as a active member, you should automatically be, you will get the invites to those webinars. And they tend to happen either the first or the second Thursday of the month. So make sure to look out for those. If you're curious about them, please, again, feel free to email support and they'll be able to give you the upcoming webinar date. Okay, perfect. I can't see any more questions then, so I'm going to assume we are all good to go. And just want to say thank you all for coming out and watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me and watch me play around with Convertri. I hope it was useful. I hope you feel more confident with the app now. And please, again, feel free to ask any questions that you have along your journey. Thanks again, guys. I hope you all have a great rest of the week and take care. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.